Here are 10 stats that absolutely should be changing your B2B marketing strategy. So let me run through these 1 through 10, but I'm also going to tell you specifically what you should be addressing or changing about your marketing strategy as a result of these numbers. Okay, let's hop into the list. Number 1, users form an opinion about a website in 0.5 seconds, so half of a second. Number 2, which is kind of closely related to this, 47% of users won't wait longer than 2 seconds for a website to load. And number 3, 54% of all traffic is mobile. So what does this mean? So these top 3, so the first 3 out of this 10 list, what you should specifically be doing is 1, focusing on performance. Also focus very heavily on the upper above the fold portion of your website. Be very clear in your copy, a clear positioning statement, a clear value proposition or benefit statement, and then make sure that you're capturing the lead with a progressive survey style lead form. Go ahead and start to ask them a question right off the bat. Again, survey style, so they can just click and answer it very quickly and give you that lead. All of those things, that short attention span, that small screen real estate, and the ability to kind of input or interact with you by just clicking instead of typing things in. So that's that lead form. You want them to just answer the questions. Click, go to the next question, answer, click, next question. Those 3 things are stats that would drive you to be very focused on the smallest portion of that website and making sure that it performs lightning quick and there is no friction to grab that lead. So let's move down the list. All right, number 4, 92% of global traffic, all global traffic, comes from Google. Number 5, closely related, the most visited websites on the internet are Google, YouTube, and Facebook in that order. Okay, so what do those 2 stats mean and what should we do with them? So 1, that means your marketing strategy and campaign, at least for the foreseeable future, has to be focused on Google search. So that means you need content, you need to be doing Google ads and PPC in order to grab that attention. Also, kind of in that list of sort of the most visited websites, YouTube's number 2. Video is kind of eating the web right now, if you haven't noticed, right? LinkedIn's changed their experience. Reels and shorts are taking over. Everything has the most reach right now. So people are just really gobbling up video. And of course, YouTube is the leader in this space. And it's demonstrated by that stat as far as the most visited. So you probably should also be doing video content and addressing YouTube specifically. And then Facebook as the third is kind of a blend of both of those, right? In Facebook, you should probably be doing videos and reels because those are super effective. And then you should also be using the ad platform with Facebook. Facebook generally is probably better in a B2C context, but don't overlook it for B2B, particularly as you can do lookalike audiences and you can kind of do matching. If you got an email list that you're doing, you can do some remarketing efforts inside of Facebook. And so even though that might be in a more personal context, they're getting those brand impressions that will help your contact rate and some of the other things associated with your sales team and outreach. So those 2 specifically means you need to focus on Google. You probably should be focusing on video and YouTube. And then, of course, you should be using those ad platforms in all 3 categories. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Number 6, website visitors spend an average of 5.59 seconds looking at content. So it's less than 6 seconds looking at any content that you publish on your website. The average time spent on a page is about 54 seconds. So that's even shorter, and that might be sort of conflicting, but regardless, content page, very, very short. It goes back to that attention span, right? Very, very short amount of time. And then website users spend 57% of their time above the fold. So this is kind of reinforcing the top 3 that we did. So this 6, 7, and 8. But there is a little bit of a nuance here. And it's probably one of my opinions that's not the most popular. So if These stats tell you that your visitors are not spending it very much time consuming content. What are they doing? So what is the value proposition of the content? And what should that content be doing for you? So content is still valuable. I think it's probably the most valuable thing that you can concentrate on in the context of B2B marketing. And the most important thing you should be doing to build your product and your service awareness out there. But based on these stats, and I believe these to be true, I see them in the analytics that I run for my clients, there is very little time or focus put on the content. So what is it doing? So the content, first and foremost, it's bringing in that 90% of the traffic that starts on Google, right? So that content is helping us to show up in searches and to support getting that traffic off of Google and onto our website. So that's its first purpose, right? Its second purpose is to show them, those visitors, when they come to your site, that there's some credibility. We have an opinion, we have thought leadership, we are specifically domain experts in the area, and that we have solutions and we can solve problems. That's what the content shows just by looking at it. They can take a glance at it and say, hey, this is a credible expert and somebody that I want to talk to. Doesn't mean they're necessarily reading it. It means that it's there. So they're looking at the titles, they're scanning the articles, they're probably looking for some visualizations, maybe even some video. We're going to talk about that in a second. All of that combined together shows that you've put effort in it, and just merely looking at it, and you know, you've been on websites like this, you just have a sense that this is a credible expert. You don't even have to read all of the content. The other thing that I would take from that statistic is that you need to be as efficient as possible with the content that you create. And this is where the unpopular opinion comes in. I think you have to be using AI-assisted workflows in creating that content, because you need to be as efficient as possible in getting as much of that content into the marketplace so that it can be essentially tested. That which works and gets up into that first page ranking and starts to bring you visitors, you probably want to revisit and up the quality of that content. But in this marketplace, and I know, working with agencies and competitors, the cost of content is racing towards zero. There are very efficient ways to produce a lot of content, so you have to get into that game. And keep in mind that the visitor's not spending a lot of time on that content. The top value proposition is to bring that traffic from Google over to you. And then when they do spend some time on it, and again, this is the second phase of making that content better, is once it starts to rank, make sure that visually it just exudes expertise and domain knowledge and just is visually appealing, right? Okay, our final two. Number 9, including video on the page increases time spent on that page by 88%. So if you want people to spend more time on your page, which sends great signals to Google, and it also shows engagement and sort of a deeper understanding or familiarity that they're gaining and awareness of your product and your company. That video is critical, right? Because that personalizes and humanizes your brand. It allows you to talk in more nuance. It will also potentially give them a little bit of a flavor for what it is if they were to fill out that form or maybe call that phone number and interact with you. So this is a real good softening and improvement of that sales experience, because you're essentially getting to give a little bit of a sales pitch, and any lead that you get from pages that have videos on them, when they actually come to the sales call, they're probably going to be sort of bought into your philosophy. So it's going to be a much easier sale. You're essentially doing some pre-sell prep here. And so your sales team's going to love that. So video definitely should be incorporated. And the last, but not least, 7 out of 10 business websites don't include a call to action. I run into this all of the time. I will talk to prospects, startups, or even existing businesses that have been effective with cold outreach and those sorts of things, are coming to me and saying, hey, my website doesn't contribute to my lead production or lead flow, or it doesn't help my sales team get a higher contact rate and a higher conversion rate. And usually the reason for that, when I pop it up on the call Pop open that website and look at it. There are no calls to action. You haven't asked your visitors to do anything. You haven't asked them to fill out a lead form. You haven't asked them to call you. You haven't asked them to take a next step. You haven't asked them to download a lead magnet or a piece of content or sign up for your newsletter. There is literally nothing on that except you talking into and at your visitors, essentially talking into a vacuum, if you will, and not asking them to in any way respond or take a next action with you. So take a look at your website. I would almost guarantee you that you are failing on this call to action statistic, this number 10. You probably fall in that 7 out of 10. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope this gave you 10 things you should take a look at and evaluate what you're doing in your B2B marketing strategy. If you've enjoyed this, I would love for you to join me as a subscriber. Hit that like button if you've been here up until this point. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and so reward me with that thumbs up and like. And then if you want more of this kind of content, hit that notification bell so that you'll know every time I drop one of these. Right now, we're actually dropping this type of strategy and insights about daily. So I would love to keep that up for you. So again, those subscriptions and likes help us to grow this channel and helps to give me more time so that I can give you some great valuable content. So I look forward to seeing you on our next video.